What's up and welcome back to the channel, guys. I have been gone for a minute. I haven't posted in a minute. So today I'm going to bring you guys back up to speed with some updates. And I figure I'll do that while I start throwing some of these old parts that I've had on the red car. Kind of just talk through it. I also wanted to answer some of the comments that I've had in some of my previous videos in the same video. So stay tuned. Alright, so before I get into the install of these parts that I've had laying around for the red car, I wanted to address some of the comments that have been sitting here for a little while that I haven't addressed yet. So the first one I have is from user TV2, asking if I've had a chance to sleep on that new Aircore mattress that I just put in the rooftop tent. The answer is yes. I think I've gone out on it twice now. But honestly, I don't think it's a ton more comfortable over the mattress that comes in there in the first place. My reason for getting it wasn't necessarily comfort. It was more for the space saving because you can compress that bed down a little bit more, which allowed me to leave my bedding in that rooftop tent, which is why I really got it. But if you're looking for just comfortability, I don't know if that is the best option. Honestly, I think that the mattress I was in there before with one of those roll-up backpacking pads was just as comfortable. But like I said, I got 2 nights on it, so take that information for what it's worth. My next comment in here is from Big Frog's 4x4, telling me to put my pillows in a vacuum sealed bag to save space. It's a great idea. I've even learned that in the military, and I don't know why I haven't done it. Honestly, I think it's just because I get in a rush, and I just kind of start throwing stuff in the truck. But yeah, thanks for bringing that back to my attention. Might be something I try here soon because we do have 2 trips coming up at the start of the new year. So yeah, it might be something I try. But thanks for that. And this was one that kind of made me laugh from Paula Cheese 2 months ago. I thought this one was kind of funny. Said a Sea-Doo is not a jet ski. She's right, but it's a very niche thing, and the majority of the population knows what a jet ski is. So I will continue to call it a jet ski, just to try to net as many people as I can. But yeah, thanks for 2 cents on that one. And yeah, just updates. Yeah, sorry for it taking so long to post a video. I did go through a rotator cuff surgery, and I've been in physical therapy for that. Not an excuse, just kind of what's going on. I've also was posting a video close to almost every week there for a while. I kind of just got tired of carrying a camera around for everything that I was doing because I feel like it does take away significantly from the moment. So hats off to the YouTubers that can still enjoy the moment and do the YouTube thing at the same time. It's not an easy thing to do, and I kind of just got burnt out on it. I also got sick. There's been a lot of COVID going around. I still work a full-time job. So yeah, there's been a lot going on. And then on top of that, everything's been broken, which I think my last couple videos cover that. But yeah, the knock sensors went out on the FJ, which if you keep driving it like that, can cause massive problems on that car, which is my daily. So I had to get that fixed, which was quite a bit of money. And then the Shelby right here had the throttle body go out, which was quite a bit of money to replace that throttle body. The jet ski sank. I don't know if I made a video on that one, but the jet ski did sink and we were able to recover it. I don't think that I had my camera equipment that day, but yeah, that sank. Water over the top of the engine. Had to do a whole procedure, moving the upper intake and getting all the water out of there. It was a whole ordeal. So everything has been broken. And I kind of got tired of just recording all of that. So what has been new? Yeah, we fixed the knock sensors on the FJ, and then a half shaft went out, so I've done a half shaft on that. The Shelby's been good, but I'm having an issue with the fog lights. I'll show you that here in a second. It's not a big deal, but just something I haven't really wanted to do. Yeah, I'm not kind of like the other YouTubers who just have guys that can do stuff for them off camera. I do all the wrenching and stuff on my own or with help from somebody. And I just really haven't felt like wrenching on a car just due to the fact that everything keeps breaking and it's forcing me to wrench when I don't want to wrench, which causes me to kind of let these cars sit, which has been the case with this red car. And I felt bad about it. I feel like I have a relationship with all of my cars, and this one has definitely been neglected since I've got here in the past year. So I got these parts I want to throw on it, and then I'll kind of talk through what the plan is for it kind of moving forward. Yeah, so let's get into it. All right, guys, so we're gonna start off with the Shelby. If you remember, I just told you about the fog lights. So you can see that there's something going on over here. And this one's good. What actually ended up happening is the bulb, you can see it loose right there, fell out of the plug. Not exactly sure how that happened, but I need to fix that. It's not a huge deal, but I'm extremely particular about my vehicles and taking care of them and having them look good, so that really bothers me. Another thing that's kind of bothering me with this car that I've just recently noticed is that these inner fenders have started to pull away. These are there to protect from rock chips, and it looked like just some sort of glue or something has pulled away. So it's like that on both sides now, so I need to do something to fix that. But since the new throttle body has gone in this car's been solid. I can't say anything bad about it at this point in time. Then kind of jumping over here to the red car, the parts I'm going to be installing are 2 new mirrors, because we just took the ones off the car when it got painted and tossed them because they were in such bad shape from the hailstorms they went through. They're all cracked and broken. I have that new blow-through mass air meter I mentioned in the video, I don't know, months back now. Still haven't put it on there, but we will here today. And then this is a new center console, just more usable space. These cars don't have cup holders. Not that I eat in any of my cars that are like weekend cars, but just more usable space. I also have some molding that needs to go on the car. I need to throw the computer back in there because the quarter horse chip is in there. But I did do that months ago, so it has like a little watch battery now that goes inside of there. And I don't know if that thing is good anymore. Then I also have just a bunch of lights for tail lights and headlight bulbs. But as I continue to walk around this car, I continue to find stuff that is wrong with it. So the headlights that are in there now, or at least the housings, are brand new. But I was walking around it the other day and found that there's a crack in these new lights. So I don't know where that came from, if that came from when we moved from Colorado down here, or what the deal is, but I'm gonna have to end up replacing that as well. So the motor in this car is still in the current state that it was in the last video. Still needs injectors. I just haven't got around to get to those because everything else continues to break. So knock on wood, we're at a safe place with the other vehicles, so I can turn my attention back to this. So what I'm starting with is gonna be these mirrors. So to get to the plug for the mirror, which is up here in the front right there, you have to take off the door panel, so that's fairly simple. Just a couple of screws right here and right here. Then you got to take off the like bezel that's around the handle too. Then there's a bunch of these pins. I always break several of them when I take that door panel off to get inside of here. But yeah, super straightforward. There's just a couple of screws right there. And then this mirror also comes with a couple of nuts to hold it on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock this out. All right, and I just wanted to show you this. So it's a very small washer and nut that goes on the back of those bolts. Right here is them, so you can see how small they are. So it's kind of hard getting your hands in there, but it's really not a big deal. And then don't forget to put that little rubber grommet right here in the correct spot to keep the water out. But super simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this side and get this door panel back on. Just make sure you don't forget to plug everything in when you get out of here. I just wanted to show you guys how small those nuts are on both of those. This bottom one was extremely hard to get to. I couldn't fit my finger in this tiny little gap. And those nuts are a 9/32, I believe, off the top of my head. So what I ended up having to do was stuff some tape down in the socket to push that nut up to the top of the socket so that I could get some threads started on that. And then once I did that, I went ahead and tightened the mirror up. But it does look pretty good, and right now it's on there solid. So on to the next. All right, so moving from the driver's side mirror, before I can put this panel back on, I got to push the car out to get to the other side. So that's going to slow me down from doing the other side because I got to remove that panel so I can gain access to the mirror where the new mirror goes. But this one did come out looking pretty good, I think, overall. It's pretty good sitting on there. But anyways, moving to the center console next is what I'm getting to. I already got the front 2 bolts out of it. You just had to remove the shifter boot to get to the front 2 bolts. And then of course the last 2 bolts are underneath the armrest. So you got to take off these 2 panels right here to get to the other 2 bolts on each side. So a total of 4 bolts left before that armrest will come off. Then I can gain access to the rear 2 bolts that are holding in the center console. And then just being honest, guys, I am kicking myself right now because I didn't get a step down small enough so that I could use my electric ratchet. I used to love crawling all through this thing and turning wrenches, but yeah, I don't know if I love it anymore, just being honest. Getting to the age where it's like I'd almost rather pay for everything, and then I see the price tag when I go get a quote and I'm like, looks like I'm crawling back in the car. So that's where I'm currently at. I'm trying to get these last 4 bolts out, but I'll keep you guys updated along the way. Before I throw this old center console on the shelf, I wanted to give you guys a quick comparison of the two. So you can see that the color is severely washed out on the older one, but what do you expect when the car was made in '89? So you do lose a couple of things when you switch to the new one, some of that being the coin tray or ashtray and the cigarette lighter. But to me that's not a big deal. I've never been a smoker in the first place, but I do know some Foxbody guys that have made it their mission to make this little door work. I did end up replacing this at one point in time, but it did break shortly thereafter, so I had no issue converting over to the cup holders. Now there is a couple of things you have to do. You have to swap the mirror control switch from your old panel to your new one. That's fairly simple. And another reason I wanted to change is because you can see some like staining and stuff on this plastic right here where the emergency brake goes. So I'm not too mad about losing this part. I think the new one looks a little bit better. And with these cars not having cup holders, it's a nice usable space to have. So here is the underside of that console, and you have to end up putting in this rubber piece that the emergency brake comes through, and there's this plastic bezel on the back that I guess is supposed to hold it on, but everybody who has a Fox knows that this eventually ends up breaking. So I'm not sure if you're supposed to do this or not, because when you just put it on there it slides off, but it has a bunch of these tabs that run around the outside. And what I'm doing is I'm lighting them on fire with just a little lighter. And I'm using the back of a screwdriver to push them flat so it holds that piece on. Now, I'm not sure if that's what you're supposed to do or if those are going to break later, but that's just what I'm doing. All right, y'all, and just like that, it is in there. Pretty simple install, not too hard. I am going to go have to find another bolt because it's missing one, so this piece has some play in it, which I'm sure will be annoying once it starts rattling. Other than that, it kind of worked out too because this cup holder pulls out, which is cool because I ran some of the wires down there for my gauge cluster, or my little brother Jalen did when he was wiring up some of those gauges for me. So now if there's an issue, I can get to that without having to remove this whole panel, which is what you normally have to do. So now the next step is we're going to throw this door panel over here back on, since I got the new mirror on and it plugged in, just to button up this side before I jump across and start working on that side. So down low, the computer is going to have to go back in, which is what that mess is right there. This door panel is going to have to come off, so that, and that little triangle piece up there by the mirror, so that I can get to the mirror on the passenger side. Before I get to the door panel, I wanted to give you guys just a few more updates of some stuff I still got to fix. So I did mention that the jet ski did end up sinking. So what ended up happening on that was the hose that pumps water through the exhaust on the bottom side of the motor, it's very hard to see with the upper deck on, ended up coming loose, and instead of pumping that water out with the jet wash, it pumped it into the engine bay. One of the scariest moments I've had in a long time, because it took no time for the jet ski to sink. It didn't go like completely under the water, but the engine was completely covered in water. So we ended up getting it out. Thank God, where I ended up getting stuck, there ended up being a person that got his boat stuck on the sandbar. And the deal was that if we helped him get his boat off the sandbar, then he would tow us back to the marina, which wasn't too far because we launched from Juana's and we were on our way back for the day anyways. But it was still like a 20-minute pull to get us back to the marina, especially with the jet ski being like half full of water. So in that process, I did end up losing the transom lights that I installed, the 2 red lights that light up the jet wash red. So I'm going to have to go back through and figure out what the wiring issue is with that to get those lights going again. But they haven't worked since. The funny thing is I could never get the jet ski to run what it was supposed to run, because it does have an aftermarket water box on there, a free flow exhaust, an oil catch can, and it does have a tune now. And then the engine was completely cleaned out due to it sinking and taking on some seawater. The funniest thing about that is before that happened, the fastest speed I could see was like 74, and then after that happened, I was seeing a consistent like 78. So I'm not sure exactly what that is all about, but the jet ski has ran the fastest it's ever ran since that. So once the jet ski did sink though, we did go back out on the water 3 or 4 times, and there was no issues. Like I said, it was just a loose hose. It could have happened to anyone. And I wasn't, to be completely honest, I'm still fairly new to saltwater jet skis, so a huge learning moment for me right there. So I do get the kiddos out here with me now, Atlas and Mixie, helping me out a little bit, keeping me some company. So I'm getting ready to throw this door panel back on. It's only 2 bolts right here, and then you gotta line up the, what do you call this? This moves up and down when you lock and unlock the car. I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but you gotta fish it through the hole right there in the back, and then you got to put the molding back on with a screw, and then the plate that covers up the wire for the mirror right there. So I'm gonna get to it, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done. All right guys, I do think that I have hit a stopping point for the night. Did not make as much progress as I wanted to, but that's how this car stuff goes. Bunch of mismatched bolts and searching for tools, and the processes and steps get drawn out for quite a while. Anyways, I got the mirror on. That was the easy part, but I ended up fighting this door panel quite a bit to get it to line up the right way, and ended up breaking a piece of this like weather stripping right here. You guys can see that. I got a new one in the trunk of the car to throw on there right there, but these old parts and pieces are brittle. But I did end up getting the door back on there and lined up, put the bezel back on and the mirror cover plate, and everything's plugged up, as well as getting that new center console in there, if you guys can see that. So next time I come back, it'll be removing that passenger door panel to get the new mirror on there, as well as putting the computer down there back in the car. So that's where we're at right now. And then moving back up to the front of the car, I still have to put the blow-through mass air meter over there in that fender, and then remove this upper intake to put the new injectors on. But that's where we're currently at on this car. I will keep you guys updated in the next one. If you guys like this one, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.